I didn't know she was ran through, and I didn't know she was a thought. Hey you guys, welcome back to Jet's Place. In today's video, I'm going to tell you a story time about college. For those of you who don't know, I went to college for 1 year and I wish I hadn't wasted my time. But anyway, that's another story within itself. So I hung out with like 4 of us. It was me and 4 other girls that we all hung out. We were like the only, like, we were the few black girls that were on campus because it was a small college. So we naturally all hung together. So we all hung out together, and it was me, it was my friend, I'm not going to use their real names, but I will call them Lisa. Lisa was like, they were all, 2 of them played basketball, and one was just like my homegirl. Like, we were just really close. And so there was this girl named Chelsea. Chelsea lives off of campus. And whenever she was around us, I always just felt real uncomfortable. Like, I just didn't feel comfortable opening up to her. And just, you know, I would just be real quiet around her. And then all the girls would be like, you know, Chelsea thinks you don't like her because, you know, you don't really talk to her. I was like, I just don't know her, you know. I just ain't picking up a good vibe from her. But I'm like, y'all can do what y'all want to do. So they would always ask me to hang out. They were like, oh, Chelsea invited us over here. We're going to Chelsea place. You know, we're going out to the club with Chelsea. I'd be like, nah, I'm not gonna go. I would always either stay on campus or I would go home to my family. And so, you know, one day they was all hanging with Chelsea. They said, you know what, we're gonna go over to Chelsea place. And I said, you know what, I think I'm gonna go too. Bad idea. So we get to Chelsea's place, and you know, we just, you know, it was cool at first. We just eating food and watching movies and just talking, you know, like girl talk and whatever, and gossiping. And so Chelsea was like, y'all want some weed? I can call the weed man. I was like, no, I was like, no, I don't do that. I was like so uncomfortable. I really didn't like that. I had never smoked weed before, and I was like, I didn't even want to be around that. So everybody else is like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. And I'm just like the only one that's just like totally uncomfortable. I was like, nah, I don't want to be bothered with that. So thank God the weed man, his car broke down. I was like, ooh, thank God, because I sure did not want to be around that. So he didn't end up coming because his car broke down. So that was good for me. So everything was back good again. I was just like, okay, I feel comfortable. You know, he ain't coming, whatever. So Chelsea decides to invite all of these basketball players that she met that night. Because I told you earlier in the story time, 2 of my friends that I was cool with, they played basketball, and so they were playing the women's basketball team, and then there was a men's basketball game right after the women's. So she invited 5 guys that she had just met that night at the basketball game to come over to her apartment. I was so uncomfortable with that because, first of all, you don't know them. We don't know them. Just because we played against their team doesn't mean you should invite them over. But you know, everybody else was like, oh no, that's cool, that's cool. So she calls herself inviting all the 5 of these guys over for each of us to have a man. I was like, I don't want to be bothered with that. I really, at that point, I should have just called someone from campus to come pick me up, or I should have called an Uber, a taxi. I should have just left. So they come over and they're sitting on the couch like this is just so uncomfortable. You don't know these men, you just met them. And so the thing is that really made me just like really uncomfortable too. So we all sitting on the couch, and then so some of them, the guys are sitting on the floor, some of them are on the couch. So Chelsea lays her head in one of the guys' lap. Mind you, you just met this man tonight and you laying your head in his lap and letting him rub your booty. She was letting him rub her booty. And I was just like, just kind of looking at her like, because it was just like, you bopping. And she told us she liked to bop. And I guess that means she liked to cuddle with different men that she meet. Girl, just say you a thought. But anyway, and then so one of my friends texted her and said, girl, that don't look right. So she take her head out of his lap, and so it's getting later and later. It's like almost like midnight, and so And so Chelsea is like, oh, you know, it's getting late. And I'm thinking she gonna tell them, oh, y'all need to go because it's getting late. She's like, oh, y'all can stay here. Once again, I'm uncomfortable looking like, because my friend that played basketball, two of them, they fell asleep, and one of them was the one that drove us over to Chelsea's apartment. And you know, I didn't really even think to wake them up and be like, yo, we need to go, I'm uncomfortable, because you know, they had just played in a basketball game that night, and I just didn't, and it didn't cross my mind to wake them up and say, hey, let's go. So they're all laid across the floor, because her couch was like shaped like a V, not a V, a L. Her couch was shaped like an L. So I'm like in the corner where the L is, like this, and they're just laid out like sardines right in front of the couch. And so I'm like in the corner, and I got this thin little blanket. We're like in our pajamas and like our shorts and stuff, and it was just really uncomfortable. And she had her air on, so it was freezing with this thin blanket, and we got on shorts because we thought it was just gonna be a girls' night. So at that point, one of my friends that was asleep wakes up, and she goes into Chelsea's bedroom, and she falls asleep in there. And then so I was thinking, it didn't hit me at first. I'm like, I should go in there with her, because the way Chelsea's apartment is, it's like her bathroom connects to the kitchen and her bedroom. So if one of those guys would have woke up and went in the bathroom, he could have went in there and hurt my friend that went to sleep in the room. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go in there and sleep in the room too. So I fell asleep in there, and then I was like, and it was just really uncomfortable. I could not fall asleep, because I'm like, we don't know nothing about these guys. These are like big basketball players. They could have robbed us, they could have raped us, they could have did anything to us, and she let them spend the night. And then so when my friend that drove us over there, she woke up the next morning, like she's looking around like what the heck is going on, like what happened? And so like I was like, I grabbed my stuff, and we all grabbed their stuff and just ran out, like, because I think they left like with us. They left around the same time, but my whole point was, you don't know nothing about these dudes. And my friend that drove us over there, she was like, how come y'all didn't wake me up? She was like, I didn't know they had fell asleep here, because she fell asleep, so she was already asleep, you know, before they got there. Because, you know, she thought they were just going to, you know, come there and talk or whatever. I was just like real uncomfortable, and that feeling that I have been telling them every time, I was like, I just don't know her, I don't have a good vibe from her. That was one reason. And then so everybody was kind of just like fell back from her for a little bit, and you know, they didn't really hang out with her except for my friend Eunice. Eunice was the one that went to sleep in Chelsea's room. And so Eunice went to a party with Chelsea, because one of the soccer players at the college, he invited Chelsea and Eunice to one of his parties. So they go, and Chelsea goes off on her own, leaving Eunice by herself. Well, Eunice is that type, you know, where she'll make a new friend with anybody. So she, you know, made herself comfortable. But after the party, get in the car, and Eunice was like, Chelsea, where did you go? She was like, oh, I was with the soccer player. You know, I gave him some top, if you know what I mean. She was like, and Eunice was so mad at her, because yes, that's her business, and yeah, that's her body or whatever. But the fact that you came here to the party with me and you left me, and you went and gave the dude top, and she was like, that's making me look bad, because we came together. So because you know the saying, birds of a feather flock together. Well, I mean, people are gonna really think that, oh, okay, well, they came together, she doing this, I wonder what she can do. So that's just a bad look. And so at that point, we was just like real skeptical of Chelsea. She always was doing some thoughtish like type of stuff, because one time we were doing like a community service thing for the college. So the college goes off to different communities and like, you know, does stuff, you know, help out the less fortunate. So we were all standing around like having lunch, and Chelsea goes after one of the other basketball players that played for the school, knowing that he had a girlfriend. And she was like, you know, you know, her lunch is 30 minutes, what you want to do? Meaning, she was like, you know, I got a car, we can go around the corner. I was like, and we were all like standing there together, and I'm just like, I don't even want to be associated with that, because if you're gonna do what you're gonna do it over there. Don't bring that around me, because that's just making me seem like I'm okay with that. They're like, oh, well, they all friends, they might all do that, because that's just the way some people think. And like, sometimes you should be cautious of who you hang around, and I guess that's the moral of this story. Like, so from then on, I was just real skeptical whenever I was around Chelsea. She was not one of those people that I would want to be friends with. She was like one of those people that would mooch off of you, always trying to, you know, beat the system and stuff like that, finding any way she can to get around something. So, you know, those of you that's going to college, just be careful of who you associate yourself with. You know, if you have a gut feeling or you get a bad vibe from somebody, follow that instinct, because it's there for a reason. Whatever the instinct is, you might not ever find out what it is until later, or you might find out right then and there. But just be careful who you call your friends. You know, go to college, have fun, use your mind, and you know, and just focus on your schoolwork. Thank you guys for listening to this story. Let me know what other videos you would like to see. I have some more story times throughout college, so if you want to see those, let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys. Okay, I'm not gonna use that, never mind. Now, sorry, it was an airplane. So thank you all for coming to the listen. Well, thank you not for coming. Yes, I don't know. I don't know.